Welcome back, everyone. I hope you got a nice little break. Thank you so much for those who have been with us for the full 2 days. We have reached the end of the road, or just about. We're about to introduce our last presenter of our 2-day symposium. Carrie Roth is here representing the Red Hills Small Farm Alliance, located here in the Tallahassee area. And I'm excited and ready to turn it over to you, Carrie, so take it away.
All right, you can hear me all right?
We can hear you great.
Great. Just a quick introduction, and you won't be seeing my face for a whole lot here, but I am Carrie Roth. I'm the president of the Red Hills Small Farm Alliance and been active with the Alliance about 3 years now. I am not a farmer. I'm, as I like to say, I'm an eater. I got to know several of the local farmers through our farmers markets, and it was one of those when asked would I get involved with the board, I said yes, and here we go. So here to tell you some of what we've done, and one of the founders of the Alliance, Katie Harris, is still on the webinar, and she can maybe pop in if there are questions afterwards that I can't answer. So let me see if I can actually do this screen sharing. Where'd it go? There it is. All right. You all see that? Yes?
Yeah, looks great.
All right. Okay. Let me see how we can do this. Sorry. I was a last minute addition to this, and so I'm trying to remember how I get rid of the bookmarks. Are you all seeing the bookmarks too?
Yeah, we can see the slides on the left-hand side. If you put it in presenter mode, we should be able to see just the slides.
Okay. How do I do that?
If somebody who's more familiar with PowerPoint, I'm trying to look closely to the top of your screen.
Hi, just click on the red box on the red top line. There's looks like a movie screen. Go over one more, the other way. There, next one, yep.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Right. Thanks. So, so it started with a vision, and those beautiful ladies that you see in the picture were, I think, Katie, that was at your farm for a lovely farm-focused dinner, introducing a lot of the community to the Red Hills Small Farm Alliance. It was that was a particular fundraiser, but those ladies were all involved in the original formation of this. Those 3 bullet points is what they came together around the idea of what could small farms accomplish if we work together. And those 3 bullet points there are the things that is our mission statement. So one is increasing economic stability for small farms, and that focus is has been up to now a lot of our focus, and I'm going to be talking a lot about that, about how we link farmers with the community. Increasing our community's access to fresh local food, not only the people like me who can afford to go to the farmer's market and pay for nice organic goodies, but also the kinds of people who are not getting fresh food. And I will talk later more about that. And then education and mentoring opportunities for our farmers. And I would include in that also education and mentoring, education for the community. So getting back to the focus of connecting the farmers with the community, what we did was create a different kind of farmers market. So they launched the Red Hills online market in March 2011. I think the very first of those hubs was actually operating out of a out of a restaurant, and we've had many changes since then. So kind of how it works. The local food marketplace is the software tool and the online tool that we use. So producers online list the products that they want to sell. That happens for us on a Friday or Saturday. The customers, there's an opening at Sunday morning at 8 a.m. and believe me, they are ready at their phones the moment that that market opens, and then it closes. Right now we're doing it at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, and then everything gets delivered on Thursday. I'll get to that, but this is kind of how it would look like on your screen. And there's an app, so Katie has a great way of saying, you can shop naked from bed in with your cell phone app. So this is the market. When the market closes, the producers get what's their pick list. And so they know what to bring to market, and that comes, and they bring it now, and we've changed these things recently, either Wednesday afternoon or early Thursday morning. And then the orders now are packed for either home or hub deliveries all day on Thursday. And I will be getting into how we've changed with COVID. Okay. And then the producers actually receive a check monthly for their sales. And we've gotten to the point where we are writing a lot of checks. So where are we after 9 years? The challenges, I'm going to start first with that bottom one because it has been a challenge. When COVID hit and people started panic buying, we had a huge influx of interest in our Red Hills online market. We were kind of regularly popping along at maybe 125 orders per week. And when I speak about orders, I'm talking about from the customer end. And then I'll show you some graphs later. Our demand just shot up, and we tried to handle it, and so we have had to do a tremendous amount of innovation this year, which is a good problem to have. A lot of nonprofits really struggling during COVID, but with a lot of commercial food production being very disrupted, that those supply chains, our very local supply chain was able to work pretty well. In the meantime, we had to invest. We had, prior to COVID, been operating our market with very few paid personnel, a lot of volunteers, and it was a very social, relaxed atmosphere on market day, when packing occurred. And it was, so a lot of those volunteers were in high-risk groups for COVID. And so we needed to get people in who could, not be at high risk working in that kind of closed environment, be able to move very quickly. It was just not the kind of relaxed atmosphere that we had in the past. And so we changed our delivery model as well. It used to be that we could have people pick up at the market hub or at our main market, or we would go to several other pickup places where they could pick it up. And we've had a lot of cooperation with different businesses who see the nice mutual benefit of having a hub at their business. But when COVID hit, because of both the volume and wanting to minimize the interaction of people, we went entirely to a delivery model. People can no longer pick up at the market. We had a few exceptions to that. We've got a group of families from Panama City that order and they come pick up every week, kind of fill up one car, but just very few exceptions. No people who are living here locally in the Tallahassee area either get home delivery or they pick up at a hub. There is an add-on for that. So the delivery drivers actually get the most of the money for the delivery charge. But we have people pretty happy. The drivers can get tips, and those are distributed to them. Packing has gotten to be really, really efficient. We've invested in equipment, freezers, refrigerators, lots of rolling shelves, taking the learning that I think Katie may have talked about yesterday about minimizing the number of steps and transfers of product. So we've kitted out our facilities now with lots of rolling shelves. And we're able to do that because we have this increased income from the incredible revenue. The technology has been an absolute necessary part of what we've done with the market. Having that online tool that you could do from your phone or from a computer, super easy. It does cost the consumer $20 to enroll for a year, and that's an annual fee. And that has been since we had such a big boom in members joining, we were able to use those market fees to invest in materials and equipment. I forgot to say, we also used to use all kinds of recyclable stuff. And so because we wanted to minimize the amount of touching, particularly early on when we didn't know as much about how COVID was transmitted, we went to using, paper bags and compostable plastic bags. And we use gel packs to keep cold things cold. But the technology has been a key, but it's also, we have stretched it to its limits. So when we had a huge influx with a number of people using the market app, we were having lots of crashes. So we use the local farm network, and they have been able to accommodate the changes. It's just, we've had a few speed bumps on that. When I mentioned when we started out, the market was operating out of a local business in our railroad district, and eventually, when I came into the picture, we were using warehouse space in the back of a mall here in Tallahassee, and then just not quite a year ago, we're able to move out of that space, which had nothing. It had no running water. It did have electricity. It had no bathrooms. It's pretty rough, and you can imagine in the summer how really rough it was, and in the winter, very cold. So we were able to do a short-term lease with the city of Tallahassee, which is now the owner of the mall, and move into bigger space. And before COVID, we thought we were just, swimming in the luxury of lots of space. And it was, as it turned out, it was, we are using every bit of that. So we've had to move out things like places just for people to visit and sit. It used to be, we used to have a little bit more of an ability to have it be a social place. But since COVID, we are super busy and packed to the walls, and that's going to be a new challenge for us as well, because we've been given notice that we have to move out by the end of February. So we'll be looking for market space, and so we're really thinking, what do we want to be as we continue to grow? I mentioned staffing, so we've gone from like one part-time market manager and one one assistant position, which would rotate between two women week to week, and to having a market manager who regularly spends, at least 30 hours a week on market matters, and two assistants who actually run the physical market. So product diversity, I think, is both a challenge and a boon. So as the market has grown, we have grown in the number of producers, and I'll get more to it, but we have fruits and vegetables, obviously, but we also have locally raised meat. I failed to mention that we limit our reach to people who are within 100 miles of Tallahassee, which is pretty big. But when you're shopping local, you shop seasonal, and I think our producers have been really good about exploring new products that do well in our climate and environment, and introduced new products to the community. Katie has recently started marketing an herb called shiso, which is a Japanese herb that I'd never heard of before. So it's like, and I think we have lots of adventurous customers who are like, what is that? How do I use it? And so we've been able to get products out there that farmers can successfully grow in our climate, and then sell. And we promote, and I'll get to marketing in a little bit, but so product diversity has grown. So in addition to fruits and vegetables, we've got all kinds of meats. We have a couple of cheese producers. We have honeys. We have granolas, kombucha. We sell plants on the marketplace. But that has run into a problem with COVID, because we just couldn't safely handle plants with a delivery only model. So we are looking now to having some socially distanced kind of special market days where people can actually come and visit our plant producers. I know I'm missing some. We have eggs, we have dairy. The only frozen things that we have are meats. The refrigerated items also include some prepared food products. We have people with certified kitchens selling frozen meals, soups. We have a lot of bone broths, those kinds of things. So a lot of diversity now in what we have. So we have had a very, COVID has been, a blessing as well as a challenge for us, but we have been able to really grow quite a bit. So it enables us to think bigger about what we can do. We have hired staff, more staff to handle both the management of the market, but also the actual packing and delivery of our product. I've had a growing and very loyal customer base. Excuse me. So to kind of show you the effect of COVID, this is what we call what a difference a year makes. Excuse me. So we are up over 1,000 customers right now. They're not all ordering, but they paid their money. Right now, we're certainly in a lull period on our market availability. We've got eggplants and peppers and okra and lots of different herbs, but not a lot of other products. We have a lot of people selling microgreens, all kinds of microgreens. It seems to be a pretty good market for that. Oops. And this is an indication of our market revenue. And that 2020 is year to date. I think we're gonna actually break $1 million this year, which is just amazing, and you can see how we've grown. So how are we doing this beyond the market? So we think we're doing a pretty good job now of connecting farmers to consumers and supporting the economies of our local farmers that way. And we're working to make sure our farmers know that and they understand how much we've grown, how much the community is now relying on them for getting good locally grown and raised food. So we've done community awareness with a number of activities. Katie was we really wouldn't be anywhere without Katie. I just want to say that. But Katie was, had the brainstorm of these 7 days of local delights, and it is a combination of workshops on everything from making your own herbal elixirs to growing container gardens. It's just a lot of different varieties, some geared to kids. We work with our local IFAS outreach folks, and they help with this too. And we make, and then we also have, as part of 7 days of local delights, has been a fundraiser of a meal, what's been lately a delightful brunch at one of our very supportive local restaurants, Cool Beans, and all of every bit of the food except for the coffee and the champagne for the mimosas, comes from our local folks. Last year we started off with a beautiful raw oysters. I forgot to mention we're carrying oysters now, farm-raised oysters, and it's really a delightful fundraiser, and it's a great way to also, it's a lot of work for our restaurant host, but he's really delighted to do that, and we're delighted to highlight how much he supports us. And then we also have other restaurant highlights where people, different restaurants have Red Hills specials, and we have information that we leave for them. There's been a lot of learning about how to make that an effective relationship, but one of the things that I think we've done really well is on our board now is a woman who actually works for the Florida Bar, is a lawyer, but she is a social media whiz, and she's just done a tremendous job of getting the word out on our activities. And so we have a lot of kind of cross-pollination on social media with our restaurant partners, and so they can use it to not only prepare a special meal, and then they market it out there, and we market it for them, and really things that are just highlight local foods. So 7 days of local delights is a great continuous activity. We make presentations to small groups in the community. We've had work that we've done with the local hospital. We had a program going for a while where we had small farm baskets were used for a diabetes education group through the hospital, and they hired somebody to come in with a small group of folks that they gathered who had diabetes and show them how do you make healthy meals and help control your diabetes. Tomato Feastival was a really fun thing. I call the local homegrown tomato the gateway drug to local foods, because there's just nothing like a great local tomato, and and so that has grown to where it was on Louise's farm for many years, and it was a nice thing where we combined tomato contests for like ugliest tomato, tastiest tomato. we had different categories, very competitive tomato contest, but we had it was a nice potluck meal and just a nice day with our community. We were not able to have it this summer, no surprise, but last year we moved to an in-town venue at their request, the Goodwood, Goodwood Plantation here very close in town, and we had a tremendous number of community members who just didn't even know about us before come out to join us for the festival. We've also pursued grants as a group, and so we have now gotten certified to take SNAP. The Whole Foods Foundation, it's called Whole Cities Foundation, gave us a small grant, which we have been using to train staff on how to handle SNAP and FreshBucks, and have free membership and free delivery for eligible people out of that grant money. And so that's helped us to do that. In part of the technology challenges is that we have is kind of using our online platform for SNAP. It's right now a pretty laborious process not laborious, it's just, it is a more intensive process for SNAP customers to order through us than it is for people not using SNAP. Oops. And that is part of our mission, and we want to continue to do that. We are also looking very much and trying to see how, as we grow, that we can get some more of our good local product to people who have less food security in our community. We have reapplied for the Whole Cities grant and hope to kind of focus that money on that, because we still need to pay our farmers. We're not expecting our farmers to give things away for free. So farmer-to-farmer education has been really important, and I think for the founders of Red Hills Small Farm Alliance, it's a very important part of the mission, is that we're doing this together. And so mentoring new farmers, Katie, once again, our indefatigable Katie, started our CRAFT, Collaborative Regional Farmer Training, and that is farmer-to-farmer education, and that's been successful. Like a lot of things, stalled out a little bit with COVID, but they're working on the next CRAFT training via Zoom. And so we've got a farmer-to-farmer Facebook group. In the community education part, we've got a Facebook group that's called Love Your Red Hills Farmer, and there's lots of food porn posted there and recipe sharing. It's some great stuff about how do we okay, I've cooked green peppers every which way I know, how do you fix them? It's been good for that. So we really do have something good growing here, and we're really proud of it. I think the group has just come a long way. This picture on this last slide is we had an event as a farmer appreciation, and had our farmers come out. We had a nice potluck and got to recognize our founders, and it was just a really lovely time. We love our community of farmers and the people who love our farmers. I'm gonna stop the sharing there. Okay, we've had a lot of, I think with every growing organization, there's always growing pains. It went from a very small organization to an organization that has required a bit more structure. One of the things as an organization that we are grappling with right now is the bylaws. We need an update to the bylaws of our organization, and whereas this was kind of operating out of somebody's desk drawer at their farmhouse for a lot of years, we've grown a lot, and so we are, like I said, we expect to hit $1 million on sales this year, and so we need, with growth requires some more rules, and we need to grapple with how the organization is controlled. It is, and I'm a non-farmer, but I view the organization primarily to support the farming community. I do know, and I know all the farmers would agree, that having non-farmers, consumers with all different kinds of skill sets has been very helpful to have on our board. But with growth comes some challenges and questions on how we do that. So let me see. So I have not been able to see these questions. I think I can probably get to questions now until I got out of the share.
Katie's been doing a really nice job holding it down in the chat. So
All right, thank you, Katie. Yeah, that was part of the deal. She had to stay on. Yeah, I think I've got a picture of you, Rachel, delivering my goodies one time. Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy COVID. But like I said, we have caught that car by the bumper and are holding on for dear life. So are there any more questions that Katie hasn't answered? So,
or any other questions that y'all haven't put in the chat yet? And we've got lots of time, so if anybody wants to come off mute, we can do this a little more conversationally.
yeah, let me, I also wanted to tell you about some other things that we've just recently started. I mean, one of the things that we know we need to do is increase our board, to increase our resources, increase the diversity of our board, with our, age and sex and skill sets, race, and I'm really excited about some of the things that we can be doing to really grow more farmers. And we've had a recent introduction to Agrarian Trust, and how we might work with a group like that to grow more farmers and make more resources available to farmers. And we really looking to expand what we are for the farmers, other than being a market outlet and doing the farmer to farmer education. We need to look at what are the other things that you need. Do you need social media training? Do you need running a business training? Do you need, we're looking at if we can do some sort of umbrella health insurance. So with the growth has given us more chances to do things for our farmers to help them be a greater success. So with that, I will. All right. So see, Katie's answered the question about craft.
I also, maybe Katie, no pressure, but if you wanted to come off mute, if you had any other thoughts you wanted to speak into the space, so you don't have to keep typing. I know we'd welcome your contribution as you like.
I loved being secret behind the scenes. Well, one of the questions that I think is a good one is, what's the incentive for farmers? And as a farmer, when, especially right now with COVID hitting, nobody knew what to do. We didn't go to a physical farmers market for a while. And this was such the answer. And it is proven that still is the answer. Our sales are up. God, I don't even know what the percentage is. It's like 300% or something insane. And this has really saved a lot of our small farm businesses in this really challenging time. And it's really helping shape how people shop and raise a lot of awareness about just about local food and accessing it. But the incentive for farmers, just to put it really basically, is it's a convenient midweek market where I don't have to sit somewhere and hope it doesn't rain and wonder what I'll sell. I'm only bringing what I've sold. And, you know, there have been times when I like to tell people, yeah, I'm at the farmer's market right now and I'm at the beach. Like, it's really cool. You could be going to a physical market on Wednesday and also have just sold a bunch of stuff through the online market without having to physically be anywhere. So it's really convenient. And the online market staff does an amazing job with promotion through social media and newsletters and things like that. So it's way more, in my opinion, than a farmer's market. They're also doing all the distribution and putting the orders together. And then if you want to get involved on a deeper level, and it creates an opportunity for networking among farmers that is, I think, something that we just never make time for. And there's this idea that we're all competing against each other. But another thing that COVID really laid bare is we're barely feeding any of the population here, and there's so much room for growth.
Thanks, Katie. I'm going to take off my facilitator hat and just chime in as somebody who really admires Red Hills and sees so much opportunity here. The growth that has taken place because of COVID, I think, presents a real opportunity to put those numbers in front of, you know, your local Office of Economic Vitality that's invested in local business growth, or your local Office of Resilience. So even if the idea for you all, if you wanted to get early buy-in from your local municipalities or county governments to be able to point to the Red Hills example and say, you know, in future times of crisis, which we are likely to experience both economically and in terms of local food supply, this is a model that really works and actually proved to be really strong and resilient during a crisis. So
Yeah.
just planting that seed. And then it looks like Carl has a question. So Carl, you're welcome to bring yourself off mute.
Hello.
Hi,
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes.
Hi. I really admire your work, Katie. I've followed you ever since the beginning. And I've actually started exploring establishing some similar, say, structure here in the Treasure Coast area of Florida. However, I can't seem to get beyond the kind of structure it would be. I wanted your opinion about if you're starting over. I did ask the question about a co-op, and I looked in to see if there's such thing as a nonprofit co-op, because I believe the nonprofit structure is very valuable for fundraising and a lot of other reasons. It wouldn't be a profit-making co-op, but could you do a nonprofit co-op in Florida? Or would that be a good way to go, or are you happy with your existing organization, the way it's set up?
Let me take a first shot at that, and Katie can chime in. First of all, we are a nonprofit. I want to make that really clear. So in the market, the online market structure does not have Red Hills Small Farm Alliance purchasing product and reselling it. What we are doing is being the middle person for that transaction between the farmer and the customer. And for the support that we offer, we take a percentage which varies based upon whether the farmers are volunteering or not to support various of our activities. But so we don't become the owner of it. And so, like, for the farmer, as Katie said, it's nice because she has the predictability of knowing exactly how much she has sold on a Tuesday, and then she brings it in on a Thursday. And so, you know, that's one of the things that we market to our customers, is that your stuff probably got harvested this morning or yesterday, and it's not been on a truck and sitting somewhere. It's that freshness that we can offer. So what we do is we are turning the profits that we have, and our costs have gone way up with all of the increased activity. But we are keep turning it into more supplies. We are, like I mentioned, we're going to be looking for a new physical home, and we're actually allowing ourselves to even think about whether, you know, we can buy a building instead of just rent. So I don't know if that, I'm not familiar a lot with the co-op, but I just want to make sure that you are clear about what we are and what we're not.
Well, and just to piggyback on that, when we started Red Hills, we surveyed our fellow growers, and that's what determined the structure. We thought at first that a co-op made sense, and we were thinking of things like going in on big purchase orders of various things, cover crop seeds, I don't know, frost cloth, whatever. And it became really clear that that's not at all what people wanted at the time. They wanted a reliable and convenient market. That's what they told us over and over again. So I think it's really important to figure out who your audience is. And what I mean by that is who would be part of this organization, and figure out what their needs are before you figure out the structure of the organization. I think let that guide you.
Other questions for either me or Katie? All right.
Yeah, I have another one.
You can get another one.
Do you have a marketing budget? How do you generally determine what you're going to spend on advertising?
Yes, we have a marketing budget. We actually have a budget. We didn't even have a budget until about a year and a half, 2 years ago. It was like, do we have money in the bank? Yes, now we have money in the bank and we have a budget, and we have a marketing budget. I'd have to look back at it and see. It's, you know, with COVID, we have absolutely had to adjust our budget, because we have an annual budget that's a January to January, and we've gone back in and amended the budget, and still need to work on that. But yes, we have a marketing budget, which is used for like we have a local farm tour here in October. So we help sponsor that. It supports our social media. There's ways that I don't fully understand that you can pay to boost your visibility to people, and that's how we do it. We are, things like brochures, and that we can hand out banners, and for the table at the farm tour, things like that. It's a pretty small marketing budget, actually, but a lot of it is word of mouth.
Something that's not,
which is a building thing. So,
and something I think that's worth mentioning, somebody earlier asked, are there farmers on the board? And the answer is yes, but I think it's really worth mentioning that there's a lot of people on the board who are not farmers and have come to local food from a different angle and have a totally different skill set. And if you are building an organization, please really consider having diversity on your board as many ways as possible. The reason that we did not have a budget is because that is not my skill set, So Carrie and others have really made this organization, I feel like, just take off. I mean, COVID was one thing, but we were already headed in a really positive trajectory and getting in a financially stable place thanks to Carrie and other new additions to our board. So that's just something I want to mention.
The other thing that I didn't mention is fundraising. One of our board members who had experience running a private school suggested a couple of years ago that we go out and ask our customers for money with an annual fundraising drive. And it's not been a real huge boost, but I think it was 11,000 the first year, which they gave us the leeway to be able to make a move, buy some equipment, and we are continuing that, and hopefully we'll, it's a hard year for nonprofits to be fundraising. And I want to say one thing about that, because I think it's something that we is part of that message that kind of Rachel hit on about what we are to the community, that we are supporting this small farm economy, and why that's important is not just that we're helping people sell their produce. And so having your message in your fundraising, in all of your community outreach about why you're doing this, why small farms are important, is important.
We've got some interest in the chat from folks about how big is the board? Oh, and Katie already answered it. 7, she thinks.
We're 8 actually right now, but we are going to be getting bigger. We need to add some diversity. Somehow we've chased off all but one man, and so it's we need to get some gender and racial diversity in there, and really need some different skill sets. We've got some people who've been on for a long time and who want to move on to different activities, and so as with any nonprofit volunteer stuff, you got to be careful not to wear your people out and kind of lose your mojo. You need the influx of new energy and excitement.
Carrie, what do you think the ideal board size is, or how many people should be on the board?
I think 12 to 14 is about max. I think once you get past that, you get to be difficult managing, and everybody, we haven't had a physical in-person meeting since COVID started. So it's now been 6 or 7 months, and that makes communication a little bit harder. But I think, successful nonprofits work really well when you've got good working committees. So you're not a committee of the whole time, and trying to micromanage the market, or, all 8 people thinking about, any of the details that we need to deal with, but some things are important, but it always helps to kind of marinate and throw ideas around amongst a smaller group before you bring them to the bigger group. And you don't have to have, not all the committees need to be board members. It can be other people who may just want to say, I'd be happy to help you with fundraising for this fundraiser, and not be everything, on everything.
And Carrie and Katie, I feel like this has come through in your comments, but maybe I'll surface it just so it's explicit. This was a real labor of love to get it off the ground. And so to be on a board of an upstart endeavor like this it's a working board, not just people who have an interest in local food, but who are willing to put in the elbow grease to actually make this work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Could not do it without the board. Every single board member does something, and some do a lot.
Yeah.
And we are all volunteers.
Yeah. Carl asked, can we find enough board members at 13? Yeah, I think we can. But we've hit a couple of hiccups in our board recruitment, just because we've been distracted by other stuff, but that's definitely on the thing. And part of what, and we are lucky here to have some great nonprofit resources, and we're just learning to take advantage of those. The INE, the Institute for Nonprofit Innovation and Excellence, has been super helpful for us, but trying not to reinvent the wheel. There's lots of resources out there for nonprofits. At least we have them. So, and yes, we do have lots of raving fans. So,
Carrie and Katie, I'm curious if y'all have worked closely with other sort of upstart small farm alliances across the state to really get their legs underneath them in sort of like a mentorship or coaching relationship.
We've spoken at events like this before, and answered just individual questions. As far as doing a real mentorship with others, no. Some people were contacting us right as COVID was slapping us in the face, and we were this reminds me that I put someone on hold and never got back to them. because it was just like impossible to do it all. But yeah, we do have inquiries from people who want to do something similar. And now that COVID has brought so much to the forefront of like, oh, we need to use these technology to get food to people. There's a lot more interest. There's been a lot of interest since the beginning, but there's even more interest now. And I've had a lot of farm friends elsewhere in the country contact me and be like, I know you guys do this market. How does it work? Is it something that we can pivot to? And so that's also just been like a personal business conversation with individual farms.
And I think that's, as we develop some stability within our organization, I think we can certainly be more of a resource. And we're learning how to also ask for help. Just all kinds of different skill sets that we don't have right now. Combining pantry concept. Carl asked, is there any viability of combining what you do with a pantry concept? Right now we are working on trying to figure out how we can connect our local food to people who are really needing food. And Katie has done a super generous thing with her farm, and in short order raised funds to plant more sweet potatoes. And so she went out there to her community and raised money, and they have dedicated part of their farm to a particular crop that we know most everybody eats, and have some connections with people in the local community who can get those to people who need them. But we've had a lot of contact from folks to say, can we have what's going to waste? And our answer from our farmers has always been, nothing's going to waste. And we just don't have, like the big farms, all the machinery has been through and picked everything that's, has gone off to market. Whoa, thunderstorm is here. Sorry. So if I lose you, you know why. So we just haven't had that kind of excess that we can say, we now have a regular pantry. There's a physical farmers market, Frenchtown Farmers Market, that I know sets up a pantry of all kinds of items, some food items, and I think this last weekend had a refrigerated items that they were encouraging people to bring to share. But we are, as an organization, trying to figure out how we do that, how we fundraise for our own needs, and how we can direct energies and resources to getting food to people in need. Okay.
All right. Well, I'm seeing a few folks drop off, which is totally fine, but I'm wondering if that's an indicator that people are sort of winding down.
Yeah.
So maybe if there's any
past our 45 minutes, so
no worries. If there's any last questions, let's go ahead and throw them out, and then we'll do our final round of feedback and evaluation, which we are all most grateful for, and then we can say goodbye.
Yes, the queen of puns is our market manager. Oh my gosh. Let us entertain you.